Spread-
Sorry, that's
Okay. G'day, everybody. Is that spreadsheet still visible to everybody? Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Um, this is the tool. So I'm up to version 8. Andrew Clark's given me a good hand to develop this as well as the accountant in my heat exchanger team, just to get some of the formulas synced. The main thing to remember is this is just a guide. I'm not into producing honey. I worked on it with Clarky, who's a honey producer. So please don't take any of any of the time it takes to do anything as gospel. Okay. Maybe use it as a guide, but if you're wondering, where did Steve get that from, or how can he do that? Just take it as with a grain of salt and put in what you actually think it'll take to do it. The key to how you get started on this is basically your role is to fill in the green boxes. Okay. If you want to lie or cheat about anything, about how long it's going to take to do anything, the first place to lie about that, or shortcut yourself, is, where are we?
Hourly rate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where the hourly rate is.
Fourth one down. 1, 2, 4.
1, 2, 3. Oh, there it is. Thank you. This one here. Okay. So, and had a chat with Clarky about that, and it's just like, we're charging an hourly rate, and then we get paid that, and we're going to put margin on that. It's just like, well, if this goes through, this is, if you run an ABN, and if this goes through comes through to fruition, you've got to, the likelihood is you're going to probably have to, pay someone else to help you. Okay. So, but if you want to discount anything or cut things short, start with what you're going to pay yourself.
Mm.
All right. So you can start here. This is, I've just based this on 100 boxes. Okay. And then that we're starting on basically the start of December. Is when, so you can change that date and then work this date in conjunction with your flows coming through here. So I've gone and done, the calculator consists of basically, what it would take to build 100 boxes. If they free issue the stuff, I've allowed, if you're going to issue the hardware, so if you want to get rid of some of your hardware, you come and put your own costs in here, and the quantity here. But this calculator is working on them free issuing the hardware. Okay. So once you put your 100 in here and your kickoff date, you then come over to this side, enter what you think your kilometre rate is for your vehicles. All right, so I've worked on a light vehicle, a ute, at $1 a kilometre, a MR at $1.25, and a HR at $1.50. Interesting. I was talking to a transport company in Queensland, late last week on Friday, and I said, oh, by the way, what do you charge? What's your kilometre rate for a HR with a high ab on the back? And he said, oh, I think it was $2.25. So even that's probably a little bit shy, but I think this is entirely up to you guys to choose what you want to put in there. Your hourly rate. I'll come back to this biosecurity fee here. I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. What the commercial price is, and this is all excluding GST. What the commercial the going rate is for Queens, cells, accommodation per night if you're actually staying in a pub, hotel somewhere, meals per day if you are away, how long it takes, so it's basically to shake a package of bees, or or to if you're going to drop a package into the box, or if you're going to split so this is a quarter of an hour, so 15 minutes. If you're going to do a split, out of a box of allowed 15 minutes, to basically crack the box. Okay, and you can adjust all this. Okay, so that's what it works out. This cost here is what it works out based on this $50 per hour here. Inspection time, so that's 10 minutes. So if you actually, 5 minutes. So these are in drop downs here, but if you're going to go do an inspection, basically you can choose in these drop downs over here how long it's going to take, and it's again, that's like 5, 10, 15 minutes for your inspections. Wax, so we worked on per frame, I think it was 30 grams at a cost of $8. Okay, so you can change that, but that's 30 grams. I think someone mentioned that in the meeting there the other day. It's roughly 30 grams of wax that you go and use per frame, and there's the cost there. All right, and then also this is what I'm paying for syrup at the moment, of 2 to 1 actually. So you can, and you'll see here I've got 2 sheets. One, so you can do a comparison if you're chasing just nectar flows, and then the other one if you're going to choose to keep them pretty well in one spot and feed them. Okay. All right. Any questions so far in regards to these
No.
here?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Clear.
All right. So we've worked on to do 1,000 frames, basically 4 hours to go through and wax 1,000 frames. I think it was, I think we're working on like 15 seconds a frame. Put in there, this is like 1,000 frames. So this here is working off this cost over here. So basically 30 grams, what it's going to cost you in wax to go and wax all those frames. So there's you up for, $440 straight up. Okay, so then we start here, kilometers. So in other words, this is what a lot of beekeepers underestimate. The job starts when you go to basically jump in the vehicle to collect the hardware. I've put in here basically 60 kilometers. On average, we're probably within 60 k's of the CBD, but go and change that, and then what sort of vehicle that you're going to go and pick the stuff up in. Obviously, it won't be a light vehicle, but whether it's an MR or HR, okay, and those costs will change. Okay, man hours to go and do that. So basically, an hour to get there. All right, man hours to load the hardware, an hour and a half, and then and then how many kilometers basically to drive back. Okay, man hours to driving back is an hour coming back. Man hours to unload the hardware. Man hours left is blank. Man hours to assemble the box, simply because we don't know what's going to be how they're going to come packaged. So in other words, are they going to be all the boxes with the frame sitting inside them, or are they going to be boxes and then there's frames and separate cartons? I've no idea, but I've made provision for it. So when you find that out, you can go and put that in there. Okay, so I've gone and put a note. Inserting frames in boxes, needs to be clarified. Okay. Man hours to load, ready to go hardware. So this is actually when you go to load your truck, basically, to go and get the 100 boxes on, load them on, strap them on. That might only take you a couple of hours. Okay, so then man hours to travel and return. So I've just worked on your apiary sites within, say, 2 hours of base. All right. You can change that. If it's going to be closer, you guys would know, better than myself. And then basically it's 400 clicks to basically do that that 2-hour drive there and back. Okay. Man hours to unload the hardware off the truck. Then basically it's the per box man hours to basically either split, double brood, or shake a package into the hardware. Okay, so the quantity is 100, and then you can hit the drop down here and choose out of which one of these that you want to go with. Okay, now again, the cost of that is all dictated by you on this side over here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
or your hourly rate. So the time to do it or your hourly rate. Okay. Okay, and then obviously the queen. So you can either choose to drop queens in or do cells. Okay, and we can come back and see the difference there. But you know, if and this is what we reviewed it again. I reviewed it again with Clarkey, and we think obviously they're probably going to shoot lower than where we want to be. So it's just like, all right, well, how can we do it for less, but still make the margin we need to make? Okay. The cells there, if we're going to do cells. So we'll just for the moment, just leave it at, that we're going to drop a queen in and the value of a queen's $50. You might choose to do cells. Okay, so then I've also allowed basically the time to go and pick up the queens. Okay, how long it's going to take you there to collect, produce, or the queen cells and the vehicle that you're going to do it in. Then here's the first inspection after you've gone and dropped your cells or your queens in. Okay. It's a man hour to travel to the first Avery site. Basically, that should be 2. The kilometre rate, 200. No, sorry, it's 400. All right, so it's there and back. Working on the site being a couple of hours away. More than likely it'll be closer. Okay. Man hours to collect the first queen right to conduct the first queen right inspection. So it's 100, and I've worked the 100 boxes, and I've worked on 10 minutes per box. Okay. Here you'll see you can hit the drop down 10 minutes, so you can choose 5 minutes if you want. If you think you're only going to do it 5 minutes, which might be fine. Pull it up. Yeah, okay. No eggs, no cat brood or whatever. Get on with it. I've also then allowed for if your queen or your cells haven't been accepted. All right, so nothing's perfect. No one gets 100% acceptance on the first insert. So then you can just work on say 10%. 10% of the queens, you can make that 5. If you think you've got amazing queens and super docile bees, or you can do the same for cells. Okay. And then also I've also allowed man hours to split. So this is on the second round. So let's say, for example, you get to the box, whether it be the nuke or the 10 frame box, and there's just not enough bees in it, to be able to support. So let's say, for example, you just leave it too long and that box is the misses are a dead out. I've also left provision there for you to say, rightio, I'm still going to have to shake some bees in it. You might put there 5 there. It's just a provision so you don't miss any steps. Okay. 2 hours, you wouldn't really need any accommodation, I'd say, but I've allowed for the accommodation there. What else we got? Okay, and then subsequent inspections. So we bounce this around, and 6 is probably the number where it needs to be. And this formula here works on, you can see it's working on basically what the cost is of where the site's located. So that number, hopefully this won't make a liar of me. So that number, this 915, let me just, hopefully this will work. So if I go and make that, say, closer to town, yeah, see how that number then's come down to 715? Okay. All right, so that'll help you with your inspections. Okay. Apiary movements. All right. So this is the nectar flow. So this season, we've talked about the flow. So you'll get your jarrah. So by the time all this stuff gets here, you're fine with the jarrah, but we've allowed 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 movements. And then also includes subsequent average, including the final delivery, okay, to where it's going to be. All right. And this is feeding. So in other words, I can show you this basically on the other sheet. So when you come to feeding, you'll see here, I've gone and taken out, where are we? Let's say, for example, all right, so you're going to feed, so you might just put in subsequent apiary inspections. You can see here, put in how many litres. So how many litres are two, and that's based on 2 to 1, how many litres per colony that you're going to pump into them to be able to get them to draw out the foundation. So in my experience, 10 litres will draw out, if you've got enough bees, will draw out 10 frames of foundation. Okay. I've also allowed for fondant there if you want to basically keep them there, and if there's in time to do it, you can drop some fondant on it. There's there's a couple of beekeepers around town using fondant. So that's there. Okay, so it's with part of the conditions is that the apiary that's coming, that the splits are coming from, has to be basically vet checked or need a deep herb inspection. James gave us their rate of costs here, so they go and inspect 10% of 10% of the apiary for pests and disease to clear it. They work on 15 minutes per inspection. Okay, that's their rate in shift hours. So basically, and that's, I've worked on them being what's that in shift hours. So it's 2 hours basically to travel, or an hour to travel there and back. All right. So if you can have a chat to James, but if the apiary is say a couple of hours away, that should be from their HQ should be 4 hours, right? And then that's the price of the certificate. Okay, so off the bat, you're going to be up for anywhere from $900 to $1,000 for the apiary inspection to get the certificate of clearance. So and that, guys, needs to be, that's part of the cost of doing this. Don't discount that. And again, clarify that. Ask James for a quote. Look, the apiary is going to be here. How much is it? How much is it going to cost me? Do that before. I advise do that so you can clarify this. And get your numbers spot on. Okay. Right. Then this is this biosecurity levy that I'm proposing that we try and factor into our quote, and also on charge that to the client. I think there's some more discussions needs to be had about this, because at the end of the day, they still need this pricing is delivered to the hub, but they don't take possession of they're not taking possession of the livestock until it's on the truck. So And originally we thought that they're beekeepers that they're actually going to send over to audit the boxes to make sure they meet the spec. We just thought that they would be doing all the loading and basically looking after the livestock. But that's not the case. The case is going to be that they take possession once it hits it's on the deck of the truck. So that's an opening for. I'll propose it to Michael and the directors at Deep Herb. That's an opening for Deep Herb to take on a coordination role, to be able to hire an on-charge labour to get some funds in their account. And my proposal is that there'd be this $12.50 box fee that us, the beekeeper, pays. And also Select Harvest pay to help. So, and this is to basically the biosecurity levy, so we can get either give the money to Deep Herb to put on officers, or do some of these get more of these sentry units out to detect varroa, whatever it needs to be. But to get some funds into BICWA's account to basically spend in the right direction for protecting our borders to try and keep it sustainable. Now, fine at $12.50, with potentially to get knocked down to $10. It's really up to BICWA to say, look, we can coordinate this. And just remember, I'm not on the board of BICWA. I'm just a member, the same as you guys. We're happy to coordinate this and drive it, but this is what we'd like, So yeah, that's still to be determined. I was sort of hoping that the BICWA would have got back to us in regards to what their thoughts are on that. Christine, was there any discussion on that in last week's meeting that you've had?
Yes, it was a discussion, and the board is in support if Select Harvest, if the deal comes alive, potentially. And obviously we have to have our cost covered. And I just had that chat with Michael earlier today. So under $500 to come to the hub, we would not see it feasible doing it. So we have to have funds in. Your proposal, $12.50 per hive, coming from both sides. I think that we can look into it. Okay,
so for you guys, the main thing you need to do, and this is how it works, is in this how it should work, is that's the cost of doing this job. Okay. And basically, and then you go and put margin on that, and then you charge that back,
of course,
to Select Harvest. Okay.
So that $12.50 split, is that $12.50 total, or is that $12.50
per box?
No, each for Select. So us for $12.50 for us and $12.50 Select Harvest, or just
correct? Yeah, that's what I've proposed that.
That's fine.
I gave BICWA, said, look, this is you need beekeepers to do this. Here's some charge them out of these rates. Do it, and don't quote it. Do in charge, and make sure you factor overtime, because there's going to be guys working at night and they're going to be traveling that. So BICWA really need to go on the front foot there and say, once that they say we can do this, before they find somebody else to do it, or approach somebody else to do it. Okay. So yeah, this is, like I said, BICWA need to, they need to corral, they need to say we can do it, but the condition is, we need it, and don't call it a fee, BICWA. No one likes hearing a fee. I'd call it a levy. It just sounds like for some reason.
I thought it should be called as a mandatory donation, because
or you call it what you want, levy, whatever. The thing is it's just like, it's all about being sustainable and protecting it so it can happen again and again. All right. So I'm not convinced that I was a bit surprised when they had that incursion on their orchard, that they let those boxes. I asked the question, did you, when you found varroa in those boxes, did you shut them in and move them, send them back to where they come from? And they didn't. They let them carry on with the campaign. So the feeling I get
now, they waited a month or so.
Yeah. So the feeling I get is, the sooner Varroa's in, an incumbent, the happier they'll be because, they can get livestock from where, from anywhere with because the borders will be just, well and truly open. So anyway, obviously that's not in our interest. The longer it can be delayed, the better. There's a couple of spares there. If I've forgotten anything, okay, so you can throw them in. All right. So this is where you enter your price. This is the one thing I am going to really push to say in business, you really don't want anything less than a 50% margin. Okay. I can't emphasize that enough. So when they submit their price, they talked about, let's say, for example, originally we had a price in, we're talking 500 plus GST, okay? Oh, sorry. It would be nice if it was that much. All right, so we're coming in at 54%. What was punched into me during business school, don't look at this, where are we? Don't look at this number, the profit you're going to make. It's all about this, okay? That will be what it'll be. It's about this and how, and what that's prepared, what you're prepared for that to go down to, all right? This is where a lot of people come unstuck, okay? So they talk. So I'm just going to say. So they talked at the meeting about a price. They bought some beehives from the East Coast somewhere at say 350.
380.
Right? You're going entering. Oh, sorry. You're going entering 350 here. All right. You said stuff all that you're going to make. Okay. But this is where you then work backwards, right? They submit a price. It's like, okay, this is a tool, all right? And it's just like, all right, well, if it's 350, okay, I don't want to be moving around town looking after them. If it's 350, if I do less moves for a sub inspection, or they've allowed for 2 moves, all right? See how here the margin's 39%, not moving around town as much versus 34%, okay? So this is where you get creative, all right? Don't skip any steps. Just basically it might be less steps in one area and more steps, in one cell and more steps in another. Okay. All right. Any questions in regards to this part of the calculator? Oh, sorry. This part of the calculator here.
No, good.
Right. So then we need to look at what's called a missed opportunity cost. Okay. So there's some guys out there that are getting great bucks for their honey, organic honey or MGO honey. Okay. So first thing you need to do, all right. So this is where you then weigh up. Am I better off building these, at whatever price they're gonna pay? Okay. I think 475. For me, this is my bottom line. All right. If I'm going to make 51%, 475 bucks, I'm going to sell for, but I'm going to be pulling livestock out of my beehives, which is potentially going to cost honey. All right, and there's another side to that coin as well, which I'll talk about. But you need to check. You need to then do a double take on what your lost opportunity cost is based on your honey production. So putting your honey prices here, okay. If you talk to Kim, I think there's an extra $2 per kilo on all these prices. Sorry, I'm only joking there, Kim. And I've worked on, say, removing 20% of your workforce to go and build that box, and you can change that to 10%. Okay. I've been conservative. Basically, it'll probably happen after the Jarrah flow that we go. That if you potentially we go to start that. So the Jarrah we'll keep to ourselves. All right. I've worked on 30 kilos per hive of say black butt. 30. This is what the season's shaping up like. 30 kilos of marrow per hive, you might get a lot more, all right? And then wildflower, and I've also allowed for pollen as well, for anyone that traps pollen, okay? So then per box, that 20% is basically, you're losing $144 per box, all right? So you make that comparison, or in total, your profit, and this is just based on that you're going to make the same margin up here, you might make a lot more, all right? What I couldn't do is, because I'm not into honey, I didn't know what the cost of production was for honey. I'm sorry. And believe it or not, I don't think there's a lot of beekeepers out there that can tell me that. So if you've got an idea, you know, of what your cost is, go and change the margin here, okay, of what your cost of production is. So here's your missed opportunity cost. If it's, you know, if you only put on 10% of your workforce, all right, obviously that's a lot less per box. Now, in the version 8 review with Clarkey today, there's also, yet we're removing 10% or 20%, but depending on the season, there's another workforce there that you could potentially pull honey off as well. So you might actually not, that actually might end up being zero and not losing anything, okay? So that is entirely up to you guys to weigh up. And believe it or not, if this goes out, what I'll do, I'll actually, so if this all comes to fruition, and I promise you this, what I'll actually do is I'll put in columns here, so your actual cost columns. So in other words, you guys can then go and enter, you know, how long it actually went and to how long it actually took. We'll go and create like another sheet. I'll work out something, so then you can actually keep track of what your estimate was, and then what your actual was, okay, and see how close you come to it, okay. Is there any questions about the lost opportunity calculator, this bit here?
No.
No? Okay.
I actually thought to utilize them to, part of the process was actually to utilize those hives to make honey anyway. So that like you said, the 20% or 10%.
Yeah.
So potentially you might not lose anything. You might actually gain something possibly.
Yeah. But you might, it almost also might work on it, you know, that you're gonna pull them out somewhere and keep them closer to home and feed them, you know, and then, you know, so you have, you know, and then obviously you're not going to sell frames of sugar or syrup. So these are all different. There are so many ways to do this. All I've, so yeah. But anyway, you know, and I said there's, you know, there's some. There's like a, you know, the leftover price there, you know, so you know, if you start throwing that in there, so that's set up as drop down. So I need to make this green as well. Let's highlight, I'll make that green as well. So there's drop downs here for you to be able to choose what type of honey you want that you're going to, what sort of flow you're going to be on at the first, second, third, fourth. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything let me just see, sorry, bring up the, everybody here. All right, here we go. Is there anything I've missed that anyone would like to see inserted into it?
No, I'm pretty good.
No? Okay. All right. Thanks again to Andrew for taking the time out and doing this, working with me on his own time to this, and then bouncing a lot of scenarios into what could be. So anyway, I'll send this to Christine. I'll just tidy up a little bit of the formatting. I'll send this to Christine, and Christine, I'll then let you send it out to the people. To be honest, I don't know, send it out to the people in the meeting. yeah, but I'll just hand it over to Vicqua now. And if you find anything, so any sort of errors, yell out and let me know, and I'll fix it up straight away.
Steve? Steve?
Yeah.
Can you forward it to me? Because I haven't actually received the spreadsheet yet. I've been
Yeah, so
listening.
I'll send it to Christine.
All right, thanks.
And I'll get Christine to distribute it, okay? So
No worries.
I'll basically hand control over to Vicqua now, okay? So,
Yep.
all right, but yeah.
And then do we put disclaimers in yet for like natural
Yeah,
disaster?
the disclaimer's in it. So I had my lawyer go and put this bit here. So none of
Fire
you
or some weather event.
it's there, so none of you can, if you underestimate, bloody
Yeah.
come and ream me. So so that's there. So that
Yep.
So this is a tool for when you go to when you go to submit your price. So then my advice is go through it, sleep on it, check it again, green cell by green cell, and then talk to other people that have got it or what they reckon. And if somebody's undercooking it, or say, well, I've stepped it out and this is actually what it's going to take, So anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions on the process? I guess Brendan will come, or you all will receive a proposal from Select Harvests by tomorrow. And then after that, we will recoup and see, if another meeting is needed.
No worries.
What they send.
Thanks, everyone. Hope it goes well. And Christine, again, I just reminded the Vicqua to go on that front foot for the coordination of it. So
I will pass it on. Michael is an apology. He said he get hold up, so apologies for that. But we will call later today, so I will hand that over. Fine.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, everyone.
Nice job, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
All right.
Everyone.
Take care.